Well, Gary, we thought we'd take the opportunity today to not only have a quick look at Saturday's final game of the year against Collingwood, but also a broader look at what has taken place overall in season 2015. So we'll start with Saturday, a few days later, and the game was almost a familiar old tale from our, from our point of view in terms of the season overall. Wasn't it a brave effort against a finals-bound opposition, but just falling short as we went down to Collingwood by 8 points? So what did you make of it?
Certainly I was pleased on quite a few fronts, really, when you think about it, Sam. Like, sometimes these games are technically not a lot to play for from one team's point of view, and obviously Collingwood had already cemented a spot in the finals, so of course really it could have been us just going out there and playing in a manner which is not appropriate to obviously the Port Melbourne way. But I was pleased that we certainly challenged, and okay, our first half I didn't think we got enough reward for the amount of times we went inside 50, and we had to make a few positional changes, and guys responded, and of course we got in front during that third quarter, where we probably played some of the best footy we've played for a fair bit of the year, and Blake Pearson was a catalyst in that, and of course Toby Pimwell in the middle and Tommy O'Sullivan. So I thought our defensive unit held up pretty well, and we just again though, and it's been a bit of a trademark, at certain times our decision making, skill execution and just our overall ability certainly meant that we're going to be doing it a little bit more difficult, mate. So we unfortunately just didn't convert enough of the opportunities in our forward half, and I think we had 10 more inside 50s and ended up losing a close game. So from that point of view, disappointing, but we certainly didn't chuck any of the game in. So I was pleased about that, and we probably unearthed a couple of more kids, which I think is important going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we will now turn our attention to season 2015 in general. Which way are you leaning towards in terms of now analysing this season? Do you call it a year of bad luck with close losses and constant injury issues, or do you almost look at it as a season of missed opportunities as well? Because despite being down on personnel, in most games this season we were certainly in it right up to our ears.
Yeah.
Even Saturday's game, you could have flipped the coin which way it could have gone, and it was our sixth loss by 12 points or less. So there's no doubt the ladder position would be looking a little bit more friendly and promising, and we'd be playing finals this week, if you looked at it that way.
Yeah, and I think that's really a good surmisation, mate, going forward. They would be all the things that we would look at. I think it's important that we have a really good in-depth review of obviously where we're at. We don't like missing out on finals. It's the first time since 2006 that that's occurred. So the way the games have been played, we've obviously won 7. We've lost 6, as you said, by pretty small margins. I think it averages out to be about 8 points a game. So if you win 3 of those, well, there's 10 wins, and that plays your finals pretty much under the current concept. So, but we played something like 48 players. We had Tom Phillips debut again on the weekend, and he had 20 possessions, and I thought he was a worthwhile contributor. We've had something in the realm of an inexperienced side, I guess, when you look at it, but that was brought about by injury. We again, it's ironic, we lost 4 players by the time Thursday night's training had finished, or 3, and then of course Scott Clark pulled out on Saturday morning. So Clark had kicked 6 goals and has had a pretty good couple of months. He pulled out with a lower back issue. Chris Kane was just way too sore. Chris had kicked 3 goals a week before, so there's 9 goals. And of course then we lost Alex Mione and Shannon Lang due to injury through training. So that's something that we've certainly got to look at, the amount of players that have just been I guess incapable of coming up every week, and that's obviously due also to the high number of players that we've played, because we just had to expose these guys. So I think there's a bit to work with though, Sam, and that's important going forward. Kyle Dove showed a bit both forward and back. Tom Phillips, Blake Pearson's game finished off where he probably started the season. We obviously got some ruck game time into Sam Gilmore. Caleb Veering has shown a little bit as I guess a defensive forward. Mitch Hayes did a good job on Armstrong in the second half, and Tommy Johnson did a good job on Kennedy in the second half. So I think there were some really positive signs for the young group going forward for next year.
And just to touch on some positives from the year in terms of our recruiting, we had the good news of Jordan Lyle being successful in winning the Frosty Miller medal on Sunday.
Yep.
He's probably, the one that stood out in terms of having a really good impact in terms of recruits coming into the club at the start of the year.
Yeah, and also too, it's interesting that I think that's the 5th player that we've had win the Frosty Miller medal, so that's a great effort for those boys. So it says that certainly we can get enough goal scoring power when we get the ball in there often enough. I think Lucas Cook's been another winner for us across that last line in defence and as a key forward, and he only missed the one game, and I don't believe Geordie missed any games at all. I think from memory we only had Tom O'Sullivan, Luke Tynan and Mitch Wolferton all play games, so it's really only 4 guys. That is a number that's not good enough for us if we're going to compete and compete hard as we always like to do. So the guys that I'd like to think are going to have another significant contribution next year from a youth point of view would be Mac Rivette, Lockie Waddell. They're 2 guys that I think we can build a little bit of a midfield about or around. Alex Mione showed a little bit of pace in his couple of games that he's played. So I think we can sit down and isolate those younger boys, but we need to certainly surround them with the likes of Jordan Lyle. Lee Osborne's probably played in fits and starts a little bit due to the injuries that he had, but I think that was again a worthwhile recruit, a worthwhile recruit. So it's not all doom and gloom, but we're certainly going to have our work cut out for us going forward, mate, and we've got to be as aggressive as we always have been in relation to recruiting and going forward.
Yeah, so just following on from that, what is the plan of attack for yourself and the coaches in terms of recruiting? What type of players do you think Port Melbourne needs to bring in to be able to take that next step in 2016?
I think we definitely need a really big, strong-bodied ruckman, even though Sam Gilmore is showing a bit, but he's still got obviously a long way to go, and he's obviously only played probably 15 or 16 games anyway. I think that's important. I think we need a couple of big-bodied midfielders who can handle the stoppage structures and obviously the congestion to give support to Tom O'Sullivan and Toby Pimwell and Chris Kane and the likes. I think we need to get a couple of tallish key position players who can swing both back and forward, and I would certainly think that a couple of little really quick medium type Blake Pearson forwards who can obviously lock the ball in and just give us that manic pressure when we don't have it. So, but they would be certainly on everyone's wish list, and the sooner we can obviously orchestrate contacts and look at what other clubs are doing. It's the first time we've finished out of the finals for a long time, as I said, so hopefully we can get a head start on doing all that.
And you're happy to accept phone calls from anyone who's willing to have a crack at pre-season this year?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, Sam. So if there's anyone out there that knows anybody at all who's quite keen to come and apply their trade at VFL level after coming from a reasonable standard, I guess, then certainly we would be. No doubt Peter Lausch will be on the ball there anyway.
And just finally, what's on the horizon now for yourself and the players in the short term? I know you're booked to have some time away tomorrow, and the players had their Mad Monday celebrations earlier this week, but I'm assuming you'll be pressing them pretty hard to come back to the club at the start of pre-season fresh and ready to hit the ground running. Yeah,
that's true, Sam. Yeah, I'll just have a little bit of time off, not long, and certainly we've got some guys out in the field having a look at the different leagues in relation to the finals and trying to get a handle on what is out there. We need the players to obviously go away and have a good break. Certainly make sure that come, I think it's around November 9 is probably the date I'm thinking about resuming our pre-Christmas training anyway. We've already had the unfortunate chats with probably up to about 17 or 18 players, I think, who won't be going on for a variety of reasons next year at the mighty Borough. So, but it's really important that we analyse extremely thoroughly what we didn't do and why we missed out on the finals, and remember that this is a great club. And I'd just like to also thank you for the job you've done this year, Sam. Been terrific and very professional about what we can do in relation to bringing, I guess, feedback to our fantastic supporters. Thanks to everybody that tunes in and obviously conveys their messages and the Ask Ayresy questions as well, and certainly we'll do everything that we can to go onwards and upwards from here on in for next year.
Well, Gary, on behalf of the entire club, thanks for all of the time and effort you've put in to your head coaching role in 2015. You've obviously experienced a fair bit of hardship throughout the season, but your passion and commitment towards the club has never wavered. Enjoy your time off, and here's hoping we can enter 2016 striving to get better and hopefully achieve some success.
Good on you, Sam. Look forward to it, mate.